There's no question. Season 3 of Bardown Beauties was epic. From Mikko Koivu's jersey retirement to Dean Evason's real thoughts about that office character, we had so much fun bringing you informative and mostly entertaining conversations. Let's recap, shall we? As always, we're brought to you by New Voice Studios, presented by SotaStick and Talk North, in collaboration with Grainbelt and Peak Vestibular Center. This is Season 3, Episode 139. Hello, everybody. What's up? We're back, episode 139. It's just me today. You want to know why? Because, drum roll please, we are putting a bow on season 3. We're going to do a quick wrap for those of you that are new to Bardown Beauties. Let's take a look back at some of our past guests from this year, some of our conversations, some of the fun that we absolutely have. If you are new, this is a new concept to you. What we do is basically go back, take clips. I'll break down why I love them. And that's it. You watch, you enjoy. This is just part 1. We'll have part 2 next week, maybe even part 3 before we kick off season 4 in collaboration with the NHL season finally starting. So I'm excited. Let's get rolling into it. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, my first break at a couple of the episode clips that I particularly loved from season 3. Calling all Buttes. The Beauty League has begun its weekly games at Braemar Ice Arena in Edina, and SotaStick wants to make sure you're geared up. As the exclusive to Beauty League merchandiser, SotaStick will have you covered with hats, tees, and much more each week at DBL and online at sotastick.com. Don't forget code Bardown Beauties for 15% off all your purchases. I'm going to kick things out with my favorite clip with Mr. Dean Evason, head coach of the Minnesota Wild. As you all may or may not have noticed, Dean Evason bears a very, very uncanny resemblance to a certain office character. I, of course, had to kick off our conversation with Dean, acknowledging just that, which he gave his thoughts there. Also on some other viral moments that Dean Evason had as head coach of the Minnesota Wild in the season. So take a look. The man working to take the Wild to the Stanley Cup promised land, the one, the only office character lookalike, Mr. Dean Evason. Dean, what's up, man? How are you doing?
I think I hate that reference.
I knew you. I was going to ask you.
You know what? My kids, all their friends have said that to me years ago, and I have no idea. I don't watch The Office.
Yeah.
But I obviously have since. But yeah, I get a lot of ribbing about it. I don't see the resemblance.
You don't?
See, I think you do look like him, and I will say it's a compliment. And I am a big Office fan. It's my favorite show ever. And Creed has like one line an episode, but it's always a good one. So if you're going to be compared to an Office character, that's a good one to go with. He always has a funny line.
I heard he's got a lot of personality.
Yes, he does.
Just like me.
Yeah, I'm with you, Dean. I've never seen The Office. I just have seen the memes go around. I'm like, holy cow, he does kind of look like that guy.
Yeah,
I can see that, right? Do you enjoy those? I mean, it's got to give you a little chuckle once in a while, right?
I have, you know what, when something happened last year on one of my press conferences after the game, I said a bunch of things, and my youngest daughter sent me a text. She goes, "Dad, you're a meme." I swear I had no idea what it meant. I don't do any social media. I'm in no platforms whatsoever. My wife or the assistant coaches will tell me if I need to know something that's been said about me or that I've said that's really stupid.
Mm-hmm.
But after that, I stay off it all, good, bad, otherwise, and just try to concentrate on what I need to do.
Was it
Probably
about
for the best,
guys?
honestly.
Was it about guys getting hammered down low night after night?
Yeah. And then when your 21-year-old daughter tells you what it was, I'm like, nah, that wasn't good.
I will say, I remember that Dane and I looked at each other. We're like, that's hilarious. He doesn't realize what he said, but
you know what? I went home and I was sent to me all over the place after, and so I was laying in bed and I actually started thinking about it, and I read what I actually said, and I started giggling out loud. It was great.
That's amazing. Well, Dean, how was last season for you? I mean, it was weird for all of us. We're getting tired, I'm sure, of saying what a weird year it was, but it was weird. I mean, but you guys really exceeded these expectations, did well. I mean, you made it to the playoffs, made it to 7 games of the first round. I mean, overall, how do you look at last year?
Very positively. Yeah, it was, I like to say it's different. It was a very different year, but exciting, obviously, for us. We really enjoyed it as a coaching staff, having the the 2 games all the time back to back. It was fun to prepare for that second game. It was fun to make adjustments. And we had a really good group to coach. Our group was energetic. We played hard. We played, I think, a very exciting brand of hockey, and we were fortunate to have some success, obviously, the entire season, and to get into the playoffs and lose to Vegas, clearly was a disappointment. Our ultimate goal every year is to win the Stanley Cup. It was last year. It is this year. But we took step in that direction. We got beat by a team that's been there before, has that experience. We now have some. So we're hoping to get back there to do exactly the same thing, but obviously a different outcome.
My next clip, we got to go down to Iowa, down 35 to check in with Tim Army, head coach of the Iowa Wild in the American Hockey League. Tim's always bringing insightful information on these prospects, on the future Minnesota Wild players, as we're all aware that currently right now, the future is needing to step up and make an impact. So Tim Army gave us a good look at some guys down there. Some names you might know, some names you might not. Also, I had to appreciate that I did this on a hotel floor and made the most of it while I was up visiting my parents. So please enjoy the dedication to bringing you the content. Here's that clip with Tim Army. For so long, there really hasn't been that many exciting picks. They really haven't had many first rounders, right? They were traded away, and prospects really weren't a thing. So I think for the first time in a very long while, people are very, very excited. I know people are drooling over the prospect of Marco Rossi being up the middle. They're drooling over Matt Boldy joining that, and Callan Addison stepping into the lineup. Of those 3 players, who obviously, again, as Alexis mentioned, are the most talked about, and we discussed this in our own segment 3 as well. I'd love to get your take. Who do you think has a better shot at making maybe the opening night roster? I mean, again, as we mentioned, Rossi obviously up the middle. There's a very desperate need for Minnesota to have that. You've got Boldy, who's been performing well. Callan Addison might be a little bit tougher with the defense that they stocked up in the offseason. Who would your best bet be for a possible opening night roster look?
I think it's going to come down to how they play.
Okay.
I think all 3 have a legitimate opportunity. And when you look at numbers, you look at the defensive side of it. How will it play out? I think, the 6 exhibition games to play. Mm-hmm. What's the health of the team coming out of training camp? So how does that affect personnel? But I think Billy and management and Dean and his coaching staff, I think they're very open-minded. And I think those 3 and guys like Connor Dewar and Brandon Duhaime are going to get a really good opportunity to show what their strengths are and how that can impact the big Wild. And if they earn it, I think they're all going to have an opportunity to play to their strengths. They're going to be put in positions that play to their strengths. And if they play to their capabilities, not all of them are going to make it because of numbers, but you will see that, you could see some guys that are with the opening night roster. So I think they're all different. So it's hard to say, well, they're all different players in a sense, and they bring different things they have different strengths. Mm-hmm. But this much I would say is they're going to get good opportunities to prove that they can earn it and they can stay here. And that's what it is. That's what makes a good organization, that no one's given anything. You have to earn it. No matter who you are, where you're drafted, how much money you make, the best 20 are going to go on the ice every night. If you're going to win, the best 20 have to go on the ice. It doesn't matter any of that other stuff. It does not matter. It only matters who gives you the best chance to win every night. We do the same thing in Iowa. That's our philosophy. The best 20 are going to play on a given night. They give us the best chance to win. And that's that kind of earn it mentality. So they're all pushing. They're all progressing. They're all tracking in the right direction. And they all have an opportunity to make an impact during camp and during the games. And if they have that kind of impact, then 1, maybe 2, possibly 3 could end up sticking on the opening night roster. So I couldn't tell you which one in particular, but I would say that they're all gonna have a good look at it. And we always say when in Des Moines, when someone gets called up, we always tell them. So the way we try to approach Iowa is that when they're ready to go, we always say, you're not going up to dip your toe in the water, you're going up to make an impact. You're not going up to blend, go up and have an impact. These guys have to have an impact over the next couple of weeks to stick. And that's the way it is. It's the National Hockey League. It's the best league in the world. The best players are in the National Hockey League. The pyramid is really tight. It's unforgiving in the National Hockey League. So you really have to be ready. They're going to get a good look. Now it's up to them. And they're all in a good spot, mentally and physically. They're all ready for it. Their games are in a great spot and they can achieve it, but they have to go out and get the work done now.
You know, you compared Boldy to Renton. What about then? You could add Kaprizov and Rossi, Landeskog, McKinnon, boom, top line right there, right? Why not?
Exactly. When you talk about young guys, you forget too, like Kaprizov's in his second year, right? Eriksson Ek still really young.
Yeah.
Greeny's still young. Greenway's really young. So it's still, so you kind of forget those guys because they're playing now. Nico Sturm.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good, exciting players that are everyday players here now, impactful players in Minnesota, but that's an unbelievably young core of players. Capo, an unbelievably young core. That's really exciting with the mix of veteran guys we have around them. Yeah, it's really exciting. And as the makings, not only obviously of building off of last year and being another really good team this year, but for years to come. And it's got to be really exciting for the fans because the team this year will build off of the team last year. And this team's going to be another really good hockey team that's going to cut its path through the Central Division, through the National Hockey League. But this isn't just a one or 2 year thing. With the depth of prospects now and the players that are in their prime here, it's an extremely bright future that's going to have staying power. And that's got to be really exciting. And it's an exciting style of hockey. It's based on pace and possession. It's different than it's been. And that's really, I would imagine for Wild fans, that is really exciting. It's exciting. It's exciting for us in Iowa. It's exciting for our staff when we follow it. I mean, it's just for the whole organization. There's just a feel around the facility about the direction we're moving. Billy's done an unbelievable job of redirecting the organization and his staff, and Dean and his staff, the complement between management and coaches, and the rhythm that we have throughout an organization. You can feel it. It's tangible, and that bodes really well, not only for the coming season, but for the future of the franchise.
Did you picture Billy as a GM when you were coaching him at the World Championships in '96?
I tell you what, I go way back. I recruited Billy. He was playing for the Springfield Olympics. I was an assistant coach at Providence College, late 80s. So I watched Billy play when he was 16, 17 years old. Wow. And unfortunately, he chose Boston College over Providence College. And Billy only played 2 years there, but obviously was a great player. And no, at the time, I wouldn't have thought he'd be a general manager. And then I coached him at the 04. It was at the 04 World Championships where I coached. I mean, World Cup of Hockey. Yep. Where I was an assistant on Ron Wilson's staff. In fact, we played out of Excel. So Billy that was that great group of Americans, Mike Madano and Chris Chelios, that Brett Hull, that whole group, Doug Waite, that group of, I'm missing some obviously, but that was a great core. They won the '96 World Cup. And then that was towards the end of that generation, but coached them in 04. No, wouldn't have thought that then. But then I worked for Billy in Wilkes-Barre in 2017-18. He was the assistant GM in Pitt, but the GM in Wilkes-Barre. I was working for Clark Donatelli. And then after all those years, now I see Billy as an executive, and I didn't think he was very far away from being a general manager when I was working for him in Wilkes-Barre. So so when he came here and the job that he's done here in St. Paul, it does not surprise me at all. He's got a great hockey, loves the game, got a great hockey mind, and has a vision for how he wants the team to play and look. And certainly him and Dean are in great rhythm together, and how he wants to run an organization, how he wants to treat people, how we care about one another, how everybody's important to it, the way that Billy, his personality, he's so engaging. No, it does not surprise me with what he's done here. And as coaches have to, and certainly general managers, you cannot be afraid to make tough decisions.
Mm-hmm.
It's for the better of your franchise and your team. You're in a position, you sometimes have to make very difficult decisions, but you have to make them to move forward. And he certainly has that self-trust, that confidence, the moxie, and the sense of what's right for his team. So when I saw him in Wilkes-Barre, I didn't think he was very far away from getting an NHL general manager's position. I know he had interviewed for a few, and that's usually the process. So, and he's done a terrific job of sort of reinventing, redirecting.
You don't want to say rebuild, right? It's not a rebuild.
I don't like, rebuild. I think rebuild's, I don't like rebuild because it's sort of like losing's okay. If that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
A rebuild, so losing's okay, but losing's never okay. If it's on, it's on. So if you're going to play, like that's what we said to the kids last week, we're playing 2 games, we're playing Chicago. So there's 2 alternatives, you either win or you lose. And winning's a lot more fun. So let's take the right, let's put ourselves in a position for the right alternative. So I don't believe in that retool, readjust, redefine. You're changing an identity, you're changing an atmosphere, but you're still expecting to win. And Billy said, as from day one, that's been his approach. And so it doesn't take anybody off the hook. I think sometimes rebuild takes people off the hook. I don't like to use structure when you talk about your team and your style of play, because structure sounds like it's really rigid and there's no creativity or there's no creativity to it. Whereas, you have your style, you have your identity. That's a better term. This is how we play. And it allows guys to kind of play in that framework, and you try to get the maximum out of each guy's individual skills, and how does that fit inside a collective whole. So I think he's done an unbelievable job of redefining the identity of the organization.
We're big fans here, that's for sure. It's it's a breath of fresh air. He's very candid with us, and we're certainly big fans. So keep him around.
He's a good man. He's a great man.
Yes.
And he's just good to people. Today Joe O'Donnell was here, and Joel's 3 little boys are with him. And Billy was up in the box above the benches, and Billy came all the way over to see Joe and to say hi to the kids. That's organization. That's people caring about you. Everybody contributes to the success of a team. It's not just hockey operations. It's everyone contributes to the success of your team. And that makes people feel a part of it. Those little things make people feel a part of it. That's what makes him such a good general manager, in addition to his hockey mind and the direction he wants to go. It's his people skills, and make everybody feel really, really special about their ability to contribute to the organization. I think it's awesome. It's awesome.
Now I want to dive in and bring you one of my particular heroes and such an inspiration, Chanel Keenan, who is really working closely with the NHL to make hockey more inclusive, and not necessarily just on the diversity and racial side, but on disability side too. So she shares how she got involved, some of the fun that she got to have in working with the NHL and making it absolutely for everyone. Take a look. When it comes to diversity and inclusion, it seems folks like yourself or Renee Hess, we lean so hard on you guys to do the change, when really it's everybody else outside. Is that what gets exhausting a little bit, is because so often everyone comes right to you rather than doing some of that work yourself. We expect folks like you to do the heavy lifting, which is absolutely not fair. It's us too, right?
Yeah, it's tricky though, because, I think Renee is a teacher, and I minored in education, and a lot of what I do is teaching. It's not so that I didn't get a degree in it, and I'm definitely not an expert in any type of way, but it's tricky because you want them to come to you if you're in my position. You want them to ask you questions. You want them to be comfortable doing that. Even though we are also trying to have uncomfortable conversations, like the Black Rock Hockey Club pledge, but is tricky. I think for me, it's a balance. It's a balance of, yes, come to me when you have a question about this, but also, is this something you could have Googled or opened the book for first? Or, you know, it's definitely one of those things. And it's a learning curve for everybody because, you know, you don't want to give all your energy away, you know, when you're working on other things too. So it's a thin line to walk.
All right, let's go over to Adam Beckman, who had quite an introduction into the NHL last year. He recaps what made it stand out and maybe how he needs to improve on his selection of NHL players to fight. Take a look. A fighter I didn't really know much of. How many career fights have you ever? Was that what kind of your first one?
Yeah, that was my first one.
I mean, did Marcus Foligno say anything to you about it at all? Like give you tips or be like, hey, I think he joked with us that he should have told you to pick a different guy.
Yeah, I think the tips came after the math, not before.
You know, obviously you had a phenomenal camp. What was it like to really feel the support from the Minnesota Wild fan base? This is a team that has been obviously craving and clamoring for some success, and you're a huge part of that future moving forward. What's that been like for you as a player to finally kind of be recognized and be like, hey, they're really looking at me to take this team to the next level?
I don't know. I just kind of like I always mention, I just try to take it day by day and just try and cherish everything and just enjoy it as much as I can. I think obviously you don't even really look at it that far ahead. Just try to have fun and enjoy, you know, all the stuff that gets to come with it. I think, you know, that's, like I said, playing in front of the fans and stuff was super exciting, and you know, it gives you a taste of what, you know, someday hopefully you get to do all the time.
Next up, I took a break from the episodes and I want to dive into some of those cues with the Beauts. It's one of my favorite things of the season is getting to interact with you guys, hear your questions, take a stab at answering them, especially when it comes to goaltending. In case y'all didn't know, I had a particular problem with the goaltending last year. So this question about Kaapo Kähkönen and Cam Talbot early on in the season, mind you, was one that kind of started me rolling on the goaltending issues that would plague the Minnesota Wild for a good chunk of last year, in my opinion. So take a look.
He played well when he saw constant action.
Yes, I mean, that's exactly the problem, right? If anybody needs confidence right now, it's a Kaapo Kähkönen because he has just not performed well. And it's clear that he's still carrying over probably a lack of confidence from last year because he played really tremendous down the stretch that they needed him to. Mm-hmm. However, the tough thing is I can't trust him to go into the net. Like it's one of those weird things. You have to really pick your team that you want to play him against because you need to get him a win. You do not want to put him in. Coyotes would be one, right? Like you need to put him against a team that is almost a nothing's a slam dunk win, but except the Coyotes. No, or the Blackhawks. Right. You know, you need to get him a win, right, Alexis? Like that's the only way. He does need more. It's a catch-22. Like, right. He needs more starts, but you don't want to lose, and he needs to win. And the only way to win is to put him in the start. And it's round and round we go. All right, guys, we started this endeavor in 2019, which would be great, except COVID shut us down very quickly. However, we kept charging through, and this year we reached 100 episodes, which is a milestone that I am particularly proud of, especially when we had all the support from our guests and friends around us. So here is them wishing us congrats, which means the world to me and obviously holds a special place in my heart from season 3. Take a look.
Hey, congratulations, 100 episodes. Who would have ever thunk that you guys ever would get that far? But it's because you're doing a great job. We can't wait to do 100 more. Good luck and congratulations again.
Hey guys, it's Charlie Coyle here. I just wanted to congratulate the Bardown Beauties, both Jesse and Alexis, on 100 episodes. That's quite an accomplishment, ladies. Nicely done. And also thank you for bringing me on board and making me a part of it. Here's to the next 100. Keep it going.
Hey, Bardown Beaut Podcast. It's Marcus Foligno. To the Bardown Beauties, I just want to say congratulations on the 100 episodes. That is awesome. I just also want to say to Jesse, Alexis, and producer Fred, thanks for everything that you guys have done for me and my Mom's Foundation. It really means a lot, and I really, really appreciate the support, especially you guys teaming up with SotaStick and making those awesome t-shirts. So always rooting for you guys and supporting you guys just as much as you guys have supported me, and I just want to say thank you so much, and keep pumping my tires. All right, take care, guys. Thanks.
Jesse and Alexis, congratulations on your 100th Bardown Beauties episode. That is a huge milestone. I can't wait to listen to more. 100 more. Let's go. Bardown Beauties. Congrats.
Well, hello, you beauties. Audra Martin, Mark Parrish here. Wanted to say congratulations. I hear there's a big milestone.
Yeah, something like 100 episodes, I hear.
I would say that's a pretty good marker. You guys must be doing something right.
Very impressive, but 100 episodes. I feel like, we've been underused a little bit, girls.
Oh, I think he just invited himself to be back on the podcast. Regardless, congratulations, guys. The podcast is great. You guys are doing wonderful things for the world of hockey here in Minnesota. Keep up the great work, and maybe we'll see you guys soon. I know he wants to.
Where's the phone call?
Congratulations.
Congratulations to the Bardown Beauty crew on 100 episodes. That's an amazing feat. We're so excited for you guys and can't wait to listen to the next 100 episodes. So keep it up and congrats from the Zuckers.
Hello, Buttes. How are you? I understand you're looking forward to show number 100. Let me tell you something. Anybody that has me on and puts up with me for an hour deserves 1,000 shows. So now you're 10% of the way there. Go get them. Congratulations once again.
Jesse and Alexis, my oh my, 100 episodes. Congratulations. I was a part of a couple of them. You guys are doing a fantastic job. It's a fantastic podcast. Get the great content, and I wish you the best on your next 100, 200, 300 episodes.
Hi, Alexis. Hi, Jesse. Congratulations. 100 episodes of the Bardown Beauties. Even down here in Florida, they are feeling the effects of such a successful run. Continued great luck. It's an awesome show. I've been privileged to be on it a couple of times. I look forward to being on it with you guys again. And what I love most about the Bardown Beauties is we share the same passion. We love the Minnesota Wild. It's almost time to drop the puck here against Andrew Brunette and the Florida Panthers. So enjoy 100. Look forward to another 100 real soon. Thanks.
Hey Buttes, Landon here from SotaStick. I just wanted to congratulate you guys on 100 episodes. Cheers to 100 more. Keep doing what you guys are doing. Love you guys. Appreciate the partnership. Cheers.
Hey, this is Erin Lowry, Wild Social Media and Buttes alumni. Wanted to congratulate the Bardown Beauties gang on 100 episodes. Definitely a highlight of my week listening to the podcast. So congratulations, 100 episodes is a lot. And I can't wait to listen to 100 more episodes. Congratulations again, guys.
Well, congratulations to the Bardown Beauties. Alexis, Jesse, Fred. Man, you guys are doing some magical work there with Bardown Beauties. The only way it could be better is if it had more #me. Beyond that, I think you guys are doing a smashing job. Need more selfies. More me, but beyond that, big fan of the Bardown Beauties. Keep it up. Here's to another 100 more.
Hello, my friends. I just want to congratulate you on 100 episodes of your podcast. It was an honor to be a guest, but more importantly, it was an honor to watch you both shine and continue to be badass women in the game. I'm honored to know you both, and I'm so excited for what the future holds. Congratulations.
Congrats to the Bardown Beauties podcast on 100 episodes. Here's to 100 more. Keep it up.
Congratulations, Alexis and Jesse. 100 episodes of the Bardown Beauties podcast. You are an absolute treasure in the local hockey community. All the best.
Hey, I just want to give a shout out to the Bardown Beauties, Fred, Jesse, and Alexis. Congrats on reaching 100 episodes. It's been awesome to watch you guys grow and do amazing things on air, as well as doing things off air, from charity work to always being up to support others in the community. It's amazing to see, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys do in the next 100 episodes too, as you guys continue to do an awesome job. Thank you for being such great partners, and looking forward to watching you guys grow further.
Moving on, if you guys have not seen the Netflix special on the Danbury Trashers, it is a must watch. They have a sick logo. The whole concept of the Danbury Thrashers is absolutely ridiculous. And AJ Galante, who had started that when he was just a kid in high school, was able to take time out of his busy schedule, join us, talk about that, and have some laughs as well. And also shout out to AJ for hooking us up with the sick gear. It's one of my favorite sweatshirts. But again, here's AJ talking about the Danbury Trashers and their unique approach to hockey. I'm shocked. I had never heard of this. I don't know if it's because we're in the Midwest. Like, I completely missed the story, and then Netflix came out and I was like, this is epic. I love this.
You know, that's something I hear every day is how did I not hear about this? But you know, look, we were, you know, we were kind of just like a little regional team, right? And I mean, back in those days, there wasn't social media, so you know, I think today with social media and everything, I mean, you could find out something happening in a little town in Idaho today if something happened, you know. So it's like, yeah, I hear that a lot. How did we not hear about it? But you know, it was a different time back then. You know, it was not too many. Well, thankfully, not as many recordings. You know, so it's like things didn't really get out there that much.
Bruce, there it is. Bruce, there it is. You know, we love Bruce Boudreau on the Bardown Beauties podcast. Ironically, we actually interviewed him for this, honest to God, hours before he was named head coach of the Vancouver Canucks. So he was just kind of hanging out with us, shooting the shit. We loved it. And here he is talking about Ryan Hartman of the Minnesota Wild and how if he thought Hartman would be a leading goal scorer for the Minnesota Wild once upon a time. Take a look. I want to talk about the Minnesota scores. And no, I'm not going to say no, I'm not even going to say Kirill Kaprizov, Bruce. I'm going to say Ryan Hartman. Did you, if I had told you that Ryan Hartman would be your leading scorer and you're this juggernaut of an offensive player, would you have believed me?
Not when we got him in Minnesota. I mean, he was coming off, he was a fourth line player in Philly. He was a fourth line player in Nashville. He was, you know, he was a solid third line guy in Chicago, but I don't think anybody thought that his upside, quite frankly, was where it is now. I mean, I remember, I didn't get the opportunity to use him at center because we always had Koivu and Eric Neck. So there was no real, he would center the fourth line sometimes, but I mean, there wasn't that thing. But Dean obviously saw that he was he must have had him out west or played against him out west when he was in junior, and he was a centerman. So he saw that, he's played him, and I mean, obviously it was a mistake on my part because I mean, we knew he could play, we just didn't know he could score as well as he could, and he's shut down all his nonsense. You know, like one of the things that used to be a problem with him when he was younger, he would take these stupid penalties. He was easy to rile up. He was more of a pest and a rat type of player. And now that, you know, he's playing between Kaprizov and Zuccarello for the most part, he's become quite an offensive machine. I think last night, what did he have? 10 shots on net. And he had 4 points. I mean, and it's a constant thing with him. And I mean, for me, he's the most valuable player on that team right now. I mean,
100%.
You know, like, I mean, playing that position, he can kill penalties. He can wins faceoffs on his right side very well. Good player. There's, you know, one of the very quiet reasons that Minnesota is doing as well as it is. Like, I mean, not household names. Yeah, other than Kaprizov is pretty well the only household name that there is. There people know the Zuccarellos and I mean, but you know, Fiala's not having a good year, so I mean, it's not like he's burning it up. But the Hartmans and guys like that are really having success and pulling that team along.
Right. Do you think that was kind of what awoke in him besides the maturity? Because I completely agree with you. I've seen him just really mature personally as a player and off the ice as well. But do you think it was just a matter of putting him at center? I know he had played center a little bit last year too. So we saw glimpses of that. And I always kind of liked him there too. But do you think that's why the key was unlocked and he was able to find the scoring that was maybe hidden before?
Well, he's always had like a knack if you gave him an opportunity to score. He's got a good shot and everything, not overly fleet of foot, but never really, and he's got hockey smarts. He's got a lot of really good hockey smarts, but he never had that opportunity. I mean, I remember Dean saying, you know, let's try him at center, and we put him at center on the fourth line at one time. And he did fine, but he was more like a jack of all trades because it would have been very difficult and maybe I should have been able to do it. I don't know, but I mean, very difficult for me at where we signed him and everything, to all of a sudden say, hey, listen, you're my number one center or my two center, when you got Eric Stahl and you got Mikko Koivu, even though they're old. Like, I mean, uproot them. At the end, like I put Mikko in the fourth line position because after his injuries, he was just getting really slow. It just, there wasn't anything you could do about it. But they found a great spot for him. And, you know, sometimes when you have winning teams, this is what you need. You need to find something that you didn't know you had, you know? And so now they've got like a top 6 centerman that's got 13 goals and is on his way, if everything goes, to a 30-goal season.
Right.
If I was Hartsey, I'd be a little pissed that I signed a new deal this year, because this would be a perfect year to have the stats that he's having.
All right. And we are going to wrap it up with another up for debate from the season. Again, another one of my favorite aspects of the Bardown Beauties, because we get to get your feelings. Plus, we get to argue, banter a little bit. I'm excited to see how Kirsten Kroll does against me in that, because Alexis and I had a little bit of a goaltending dispute and a little bit of an issue with how did the season go. So here's an up for debate as to what we thought went wrong with the Minnesota Wilds while they were in the start of one of their 2 slumps for the year. Take a listen. Segment 3, our favorite up for debate this week. Alexis, you decided to go against the biggest reason for the 4-game slump that the Minnesota Wild are currently on. I had to literally just do that math in my head. I'm like, it's 4 games, right? Where I'm 4. I haven't changed that board in a while, I don't think. So I'm not sure. But biggest reason, you had mentioned postponements or kind of the lack of that regular scheduling routine. Goaltending.
You're excited about that, I'm sure.
Lack of depth scoring. Why don't you kick it off? What do you think is ailing the Minnesota Wild on this recent slump?
Well, I feel like saying that cancellations, postponements, and kind of the wrench being thrown in the schedule is kind of like a cop out, saying, you know, of like, oh yeah, they're not playing well, because it's like everyone's dealing with that. So I feel wrong citing that as like the main reason. I definitely think it has affected every team in some way, shape, or form, but I think it's unfair to say that's the reason the Wild haven't been doing well, or haven't been picking up wins lately, just because, again, everyone's dealing with that. And at the end of the day, you should be able to put that aside and go play a game when you're told to go play a game, and still
when it's your job,
well.
probably,
right?
Yeah.
Just go out and win. Don't worry about if you didn't practice yesterday or the last game was canceled. So I kind of threw that one out the window, but I think it's a fun argument. For me, I think the biggest reason the Wild have struggled a little bit is the lack of depth scoring. And I was looking through some of the past scores, because, you know, these games all become a blur at some point. So I'm like, who really has been scoring lately? And they've gotten some goals from, you know, like Nick Bukestad, Nico Sturm, like some of those guys who are on some of the, you know, 3rd and 4th liners or whatever it may be. But we haven't seen as much of it as we saw at the beginning of the season, where it was like, holy cow, like every line had a point tonight, or every line had 2 points tonight. And we haven't been seeing that as much lately. And I do think that depth is one of the biggest things you see that you can point to as a reason a team is successful. And so I think the fact that they haven't seen as much of that is the reason that the Wild have struggled a little bit. The other thing I will say, which isn't an option, but I do want to make the argument, is that every team goes through slumps in a season. Every team is going to lose a couple games in a row. Every team is going to get blown out by a team they shouldn't. They're
not
going to
according
beat a team
to you half the time, but sure. Yeah.
Well, they were on pace to be 82-0 at the beginning of the season. And that was just the math of it. So you can't argue with the math. But yeah. And so I will say that I'm not sitting here panicking. I'm not sitting here thinking like, oh my God, the season is over. Every team goes through this stuff. But I will say that if you want to pick an analytical reason why it's maybe not working right now, the lack of depth scoring for me seems to be an issue. Jesse, I think I know where you might go with this, but go ahead and make your argument.
I mean, obviously all of these points are a part of it too, right? I mean, there is that routine that players are used to. I know we had talked to Nico Sturm after the Carolina game was first postponed, and he was like, yeah, I had wasted my good salmon. They're such routine players, right? Like they have to go through their things. They got to get their naps and they got to do all of this. And it sounds silly, but it's what they do. That's what they're used to. So that certainly throws a wrench in things without question. You know, and lack of depth scoring. I mean, in general, lack of scoring a little bit in some of these latest games, which is different. But I will pick goaltending, not because I'm right on what's happening, but because this was and continues to be my only concern with Cam Talbot. He is not, I don't feel, ready to be like that 1A where he can take the bulk on. I mean, you're starting to see those holes. I mean, the other game And he was their last game that they played, I believe in Dallas. Yes.
He did not look good.
Looked awful. Not just good. Like he took that accountability and he owned up to that, and absolutely. But it's like, see, this is what I was saying, right? Like I don't have that faith. And the problem is I have less faith in Kaapo Kähkönen too, right? Like, especially you're trying to find games that you can get him in because he also needs the minutes, because you need to give Cam a break, but you can't give Cam a break because you don't trust Kähkönen. And that's what I've been saying about goaltending from the beginning, right? I know you guys keep coming at me about it, but I'm sticking to my point because this is now proving to be what I was saying. Like Cam is a fine goaltender again, and he has started to steal some games, and I love that. But there still is just this, is he the goalie that's going to carry you through the playoffs? And I don't think so. And I don't think you have the tandem to necessarily do that. Again, if he gets back on this high horse, and I'm sure he will, that's been my concern. So I think that's probably attributing to it. I only picked that just to get on my soapbox for goaltending, really.
That's part of the reason I put that as an option, because I'm like, I know Jesse will have something to say about this, so I got to include it in here because she's going to make a few good points about this.
Yeah, I mean, truthfully, that's not the sole reason. I wouldn't right away and say, oh my God, because the goaltending's been terrible. No, I just wanted to talk about how the goaltending's not great right now.
I know we got to wrap here quickly because you got to get going, but I want to ask you a quick question about this. So do you think that Cam, so obviously that Dallas game was the worst game he's had all season, without a doubt. Like, I don't think anyone would argue that. He played not good, and was a big reason. I mean, the Wild he let in 6 goals. The Wild ended up losing 7-4 with that empty netter. Do you think that game was his kind of breaking point of the season, where we might see more of that? Or do you just think it was a slight anomaly, but that's still the reason that you don't have a ton of faith in him, because you think he has more games like that in him, even though it might not become routine at this point?
I mean, I think it's a slight anomaly, but I also think it's to the point, it's the breaking point, right? Because he's been carrying the workload. Like, I think that's been the biggest thing in my mind, is like, you're going to see more of that because you're expecting him to play so much of those games. And I just think between age, I don't know that he can handle that, he deserves that, right? I mean, when given the options, he's your number one without question. And last year he performed those duties very well, but again, we never saw him carry that bulk load. Not only was it a shortened season, but he had COVID and he was hurt. And so it's like, he never really took on that true 1A last year until the playoffs. And again, he did well. And I'm not saying, Cam Talbot is terrible, get rid of him and he's why they're sucking. Like, no, not at all. I'm just saying, like, I think you're seeing it. You saw a game like you saw in Dallas because of the workload that he's been put on. And we're not even there yet. We're not even through the masses of it. I mean, you look ahead to March and they were playing every other day.
We're not even halfway through the season yet. We're at game like 30. I think the Wild have played 31 or 32 games. Like, we are like, we're not even really that close to the halfway point of the season. I mean, it's kind of scary.
So I had like written apology letters from all of you about the goaltending that you guys all thought was great. It's not great. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna leave it at. All right, guys, we're gonna take another quick break. When we come back, I'll wrap it up and wish you all a good week as usual. That's the thing that stays the same. So a quick break and I'll be right back. Okay, I want you to think of the first time you took a big hit on the ice. Maybe it was a men's adult league. Maybe you were slammed into the boards in a big game, or maybe you pulled a Jesse and just tripped over the blue line. Either way, it's happened. Boys hockey, girls hockey, it doesn't matter. We've all been there with our first big hits. And unfortunately, those hits can add up over time. Hockey players can end up with dizziness, headaches, and pain, and a large portion have even experienced concussion-like symptoms as a result. Thankfully, there's an answer. Dr. Tyler Stewart with Peak Vestibular Center specializes in the drug-free treatment of nagging concussion symptoms. Dr. Stewart formulated the 3A Brain Restoration Program, a comprehensive program to get to the root cause of your symptoms. He utilizes the latest technology and techniques to get you back on the path to your best life and back on the ice. If you're dealing with dizziness, headaches, or pain after taking one too many hits, contact Dr. Stewart for a complimentary consultation today. Go to dizzinesscare.com or call 715-690-2211 to schedule your complimentary consultation. That's going to do it for episode 139. Again, missing my partners, Kirsten Kroll and Fred Weinfurt. But it was something I just knocked up on myself because why not? Again, I'm Jessie Pierce of the Bardown Beauties. Shout out to SotaStick.com. You can get 15% off all your purchases using code Bardown Beauties at checkout. They've got great garb. You know it. I don't need to sell it to you anymore. Shout out to Talk North for featuring us on their lovely network. Also, Peak Vestibular Center. Go there for all of your concussion needs as hockey players. You know what happens once in a while. Go take care of it with Peak Vestibular and Dr. Tyler Stewart. Also, shout out to Grain Belt, a new sponsor of the Bardown Beauties podcast. Not only are they just sponsoring us, supporting us, they are going to be hosting live shows with the Bardown Beauties once a month at different locations, 7 p.m. Dates to be determined. Stay tuned to all of our social media channels for more information there, but shout out to them. Who doesn't love beer and hockey, right? Like it goes together like beer and hockey. Thank you all for tuning in. Don't forget to rate, subscribe, like, love. You guys are awesome. We'll be back next week with part 2 of my favorite moments from season 3. Have a good one.